When I think of like where we want our children to be, who we want them to be in our communities, we want them to be persistent problem solvers, self-confident advocates for social justice, resilient and inclusive relationship builders, and we want them to be proactive explorers and investigators. And so in order to do that, you have to set the environment. We want children reading voraciously at third grade, but you're not going to create that. You're not going to affect that outcome if you haven't created a secure and safe environment. And so what does that look like? So when we talk about having a child who's a proactive explorer and investigator, that means that that child has agency and autonomy. I think that's really the glue, right, of social emotional learning.
The really big focus that we have always had through all our programming is also the social emotional learning components. So it doesn't matter what kind of an activity is being led. It could be an art activity, it could be a science activity, it could be a music activity, but the focus of that activity and the questions that you ask afterwards could be focused back in on when was a time when the project was challenging? How did you get through that challenge? What is a time when you had to work together with your peers and you disagreed? How did you deal with that disagreement? So all those activities have that opportunity. What we do is try to help our staff to notice those moments and ask those questions so that students can reflect on that and continuing to build those skills.
Each kid has their individual way of getting support or needing support, so the kiddos get an opportunity, of course, to build those relationships with their peers, but also to build those relationships with the mentors and the teachers that they're with. And the foundation of social emotional learning is the relationship, and we know that research says that just one positive relationship in a child's life can start reducing the impact and effects of trauma. So I think that's the biggest piece of how the activities really promote social emotional development.
These are communities with inherent worth, and the only thing that's different, right, in these communities from some of the more affluent communities in Chicago, it's not the people, it's the resources, right? So when you live in a community that is systemically underserved and socially stratified, that is going to have sort of these inherent outcomes. And so I think we're in these communities to say, look, our children, our families, they deserve the same level of service and resources as children and families on the North Shore, right? Or in Hyde Park. And when we think about, what we're preparing our children for, it's not to compete and forever reside in their communities of origin. This city is theirs. We want them to flourish in the entire city and wherever their life paths take them.